You know, the question who am I is a question, the answer to which already lies within us. We are just too engrossed in prayers, in all the worldly pleasures that we don't even care to dig into it. We want to know the answer to who am I. We get puzzled trying to know who we are. But yet, we just don't give ourselves a chance. We don't give ourselves a chance to think about who we are. We are too scared to think about who we are, in fact. We just ignore it. But yet, we want to know who we are. See, the answer to the question, who am I? Or for that fact, any answer can only be found through self-inquiry. The answer to the question, who am I, can only be found through self-inquiry. We have researched so many things. We as humans have tried to decode so many things. Every single thing under the sun. In fact, we have even tried to decode the sun. We have tried to research the sun, tried to decode, but yet we never even tried to decode the self. We never tried to understand what the self is. And without even trying to understand what the self is, we just go on blaming that the self is too complicated to understand. The self is too complicated to understand. We don't even give it a chance. We want to know the answer to who am I, but yet we say the self is too complicated to know it. There's a difference between want and need. Until you want, you will never find the answer. But until you need to find the answer, until you need to know who you are, only then will you self-inquire. Only then will you find. For example, if you found this video randomly, probably someday you must have searched something like that in YouTube, in somewhere, or probably someday you might have thought about it. Because the phone also catches the vibrations. So someday you must have thought about it. You must have tried to inquire yourself about who you are. So no answer can be found without self-inquiry. See, this process of self-inquiry is not something unreal or some theory. In fact, I just don't go into theories. The process of self-realization is the only reality. In fact, the answer to the question, who am I, is the only reality that lies in this world, beyond this universe, and in all the universes that are out there. That is the only reality of everything. Because everything that you're seeing is a lie, other than the answer to the question, who am I? So today we are going to decode the self. Are we really who we appear to be? Are we that? The answer to the question, who am I, is not something you create or not some theory that you believe in. The answer to the question, who am I, is something that you realize, remember, and return to. So that's why in today's video we are going to decode the self. Who am I? A journey into self-realization. You know, there's a very famous quote by Ramana Maharshi that goes like, the question, who am I, alone will kill all the other questions and then finally kill itself as well. Which means that as we proceed ahead, when we finally decode, when we finally know what the self is, then you will find how this quote is so relevant. So first we need to know a story. So you know, at the age of 16, one day Ramana Maharshi was reading in his house at just the age of 16, and suddenly the fear of death struck him. And it was not just random fear that I will die and all that, but it was also a question that what will happen to me after I die? Because everyone says we leave the body. So if we leave the body, then where do we go? If we leave the body, so that means we are not the body. So what are we? That puzzleness, that determination to know the answer, and that fear of death struck him. Thus, at that point of time, with that pure intention and that rightness of his soul, he laid down. He just laid down because he wanted to experience what death was like. And surprisingly, a very mystical experience happened with him. That was, he laid down, and slowly and gradually he could feel the vitality from his body move out. He could feel and realize the vitality slowly and gradually withdrawing from his body. And yet the most surprising part was his body was just laying there. It could not move. The vitality was slowly leaving his body. Yet his eyes were throbbing like anything. His eyes were throbbing like anything while the vitality from his body was slowly moving out. And that moment was a very memorable moment for him, because that was when he realized who he was. He didn't just realize, in fact, he felt who he was. He felt the answer to the question, who am I? That is the moment he realized that we are none other than our consciousness. The self that we say, it's not this body, it's not this mind, it's not our vitality, it's none of it. It's nothing other than consciousness. So you are pure, formless, shapeless consciousness. And this is not some theory, not something that I'm just making up. Advaita Vedanta claims it. It happens. We are not this body, we are not the mind, we are not the vitality, we are nothing. We are not our intellect as well. We are just pure, formless, shapeless consciousness, which we also call Shiva. Shiva doesn't mean that it is some statue. Shiva means it's shapeless, formless consciousness. The literal meaning of the term Shiva is shapeless, formless consciousness. And that is it. So the answer to the question, who am I, will be best understood if explained through a story. It's not a story, it's a real life incident. And this story will give you the exact and clear idea of who am I, who are you. So there was once a young man, probably around the age of 19 or 20, something like that. And he was very determined to find the answer to the question, who am I? He wanted to know who he was, and his determination was immense. He had to know. So his father was a yogi, a very nice yogi, not just a random one. And he had asked this question, who am I, who are we beyond this body, who are we actually, to everyone, almost everyone except for his father. So one day his friend suggested him that, why don't you go and ask your father, he must know it. So he went, he asked his father that, who am I? And his father said, see, the answer to the question, who am I, already lies within us. It lies within us with extreme clarity, and every moment of life is actually telling us who we are. We just overlook it. And to understand it better and to actually listen to that answer, all you have to do is do some tapasya. Do some tapasya, come back and then tell me what you think you are. So he went, he did some tapasya, he came back and his father asked, so what do you think you are? He said, I think I'm this body. His father looked at him and said, no. So he asked, then if I'm not the body, then what am I? His father said that the answer lies within you. So then the boy asked, then at least tell me why I'm not the body. So his father told him that anything that changes can never be you. And anything that is an object of your perception, anything that you can perceive can never be you. And anything that requires you effort to be that, that is not you. Anything that requires you effort to be that, it's not you. One example of this is I'm speaking right now. There are words coming out of my mouth, but there are also thoughts going on in my head. And I'm not the thoughts nor the words, because I am that consciousness through which these words and thoughts are possible. Because if there was no consciousness, they wouldn't be coming out of my mouth, nor would I be thinking about them right now. So after that, his father said, go do some more tapasya, come back and then tell me what you think you are. So this guy went, he did some more tapasya, he came back and then he said, I think I am the pranayak energy in my body. I think I am the vitality of my body. So then his father looked at him and said, no. So the guy was a bit frustrated than before and he asked, why not this time? So the father continued, I told you, anything that changes cannot be you. And anything that you can perceive is not you. And anything that requires you effort to be that is not you. The pranayak energy is always changing. Some days you feel so full of life, some days you feel so dull. Your pranayak energy changes. It is an object of your perception. You can perceive your pranayak energy. Maybe you don't see it in some particular shape. Like I'm looking at my hand, I can see it as an object, as a shape. Maybe you cannot see it as a shape, but you can perceive it. You can perceive your pranayak energy. Thus, it is not you. And it requires you effort to be in that pranayak energy. It requires you effort to, suppose we watch feel-good movies, feel-good genre. So we watch those movies so that we feel lively again. We feel that, yes, I'm living again. So that is you requiring effort to be that. That is you requiring effort to feel that vitality within you. So then you are not your pranic energy. So the guy realized, yeah, that's true. So then he asked his father, so what do I do now? His father said, go, do some more tapasya, come back and then tell me what do you think. So this time the guy came and he said, I think I am my intellect, my buddhi. I think I am my intellect. So his father looked at him again and said in a very calm tone, no. So the guy was a bit more frustrated than he was before and he asked, why not? Why do you think not? So then his father said, I told you, anything that changes cannot be you. And your intellect, your buddhi is changing. You can sharpen it or you can make it blunt. And it takes you effort to change it. It takes you effort to put your intellect to use. And also your intellect can also be perceived, so you cannot be your intellect. That's true. I can sharpen my intellect, I can make it more blunt. And also it requires me effort to put that intellect to use. Even if I'm making it sharp, it takes me effort. Even if I'm making it blunt, it takes me effort to not do anything to make it blunt. So then the guy realized, yeah, that's true. So he asked his father, what do I do now? His father said, go, do some more tapasya, come back and then tell me. The guy was a bit frustrated, but his determination was a lot more than his frustration. So he went, he did some more tapasya. He came back and he asked, am I the mind? Mano brahmeti vajana? His father told him no. This is a very common misconception that a lot of people have, that we are our mind. In fact, the very other day, while I was doing research on this topic, I was trying to find something to put on the script for today's video. I asked my mom, who am I? Because even I was searching for the answer. So then my mom told me, I think we are our mind. The mind is everything. So I believed it at first until I saw this story and I realized that no, the mind is not. So the guy asked his father, why not the mind this time? So his father said, your mind can be perceived. You can easily know what's going on in your mind through the type of thoughts that are coming in your mind or through the way you're feeling right now. So your mind can be perceived. So it can never be you. Childhood, since the moment you were born till now, just imagine how much of change has happened through you, through your mind. You used to think in a different way as an infant, you used to think in a different way as a toddler, different way as a child, different way as a teenager, in a different way as a young adult, and a different way as a middle-aged, in a different way as an old-aged. So the mind is changing 24/7. So it can never be. So the guy realized, yeah, it's changing. It's an object of my perception and it is also always changing. Also, it requires me effort to be in that mind. It requires me effort to realize what is happening in that mind. It requires me effort to change it back to how I want it to be. It requires me effort to even think about something, because only the mind can think, so it requires me effort to think about something. So yes, I cannot be the mind. So then the guy asked, what do I do now? His father told him, do some more tapasya and then you'll find out. The guy was very frustrated, but still his determination was more than his frustration. So he went. He did some more tapasya. He came back and this time he asked, I think I'm that bliss in myself, that anandam within me. This time his father surprisingly didn't say no, nor did he say yes. He said, you're very close, and nodded. So the guy asked, I really want to know. So the father said that, okay, now that you're so close, maybe I can tell you. So his father said, who is it who is feeling that bliss? Who is it who is feeling that anandam? Who is it who is feeling that streaming out of consciousness? That is you. That streaming out of consciousness, that anandam, that bliss feeling, the one feeling all of them is you. You are nothing, yet you're everything all at once. You are your consciousness. You're nothing other than shapeless, formless, pure consciousness. Throughout our life, we are puzzled trying to find the answer to who am I. Whereas the life and every moment of life is already handing us the answer. It is trying to hand us the answer to who am I, but we just reject it. We overlook it every time. So I'm gonna tell a few clues that life gives us that can easily lead us to the answer to who am I. Yet we overlook it every time. See, you can find the answer to the question who am I only when you look for it. You cannot find the answer randomly. The answer can only be found when you look for it. Our life is always giving us hints, always handing us clues, always telling us that this is you, but we overlook it. So I'm going to tell you a few 4 to 5 points about who we are. Daily life clues that life is giving us to understand who we are. The very first one has to be the sense of I. The sense of I, the sense of me, always remains there. It always remains unchanged. Now imagine, since your childhood till now, you still feel that you're there. Your body has changed, you have changed, but you still feel the same. Maybe your mind, your mentality, your thought process, everything has changed. Maybe you've either become more happier or become more depressed. Or you think in a different way now than you used to think previously. Or maybe you think that you've become a better person or a different person. But yet that sense of I, that sense of me that you feel is still there. It was there within you when you were born. Since the very young age, it is still within you. That sense of I. I'm not talking about the way your brain mentality has changed. I'm not talking about if you think I have changed so much since I was last time. I've changed so much. I'm not talking about that change. I'm talking about the sense of I. That feeling of I, that feeling of me, which is not even your ego. Because the I that we say from the mouth or the I that we think, that is our egoistic I. But the I that I'm talking about right now is the sense of self. That is you. That sense of self is you. The second point which directly hands you the answer that your consciousness is that we are always conscious. We are always conscious. I'm speaking because I'm conscious. I can walk because I'm conscious. Leave walking. In fact, even breathing. I'm conscious and thus I'm breathing, because if I'm not conscious, if consciousness is not present within me, I will not even breathe. And the best part which tells us that we are our consciousness is that it doesn't require us any effort to be conscious, nor is consciousness changing within us. It doesn't require us any effort to be conscious. I'm breathing, I'm naturally breathing because I'm naturally conscious. Consciousness doesn't require us effort to be that. Consciousness is not changing. It is within you since the day you were born. Before you were born, you were that consciousness. Now that you're in the body, your consciousness is within you in the body. It is still lying within you now. It will lie within you years later when you die. After you leave the body, that time also you become that consciousness. You still are that consciousness, but right now our brain thinks we are this body. So the mind is not us. The one behind the mind, the watcher, that is us. The third clue, and a clue that I love, is that we are present in 2 stages of our life. Our day-to-day lives, everyday normal life, like it's a very normal day. I'm living my life normally like we do. And then we are also living in our dreams. Suppose we watched a movie, or suppose we watched something, or even if we didn't watch, we are having a dream. In that dream, we are in a totally different body and in a totally different mind. But yet we somehow know that we are that. Maybe we are not in this body. Maybe we are in a different body, in a different mind in that dream, but yet we know that we are that. So what is the common factor here? These are 2 variable stages of life, and the only invariable thing within that is the consciousness. It is your consciousness which is allowing you to recognize yourself even in that dream. Because you don't recognize the body, you don't recognize the mind. The you is the consciousness. Thus, in that dream, you are the same consciousness, thus you know that is you. In our life, we are living this life right now. For more 100, let's assume for more 90 to 100 years we'll live. After that, we'll enter a different body. After that, another body. After that, another body. But the sense of I stays within us. That consciousness stays within us. That is something that we are experiencing, that our consciousness is making us experience. Like it's telling us that, see, you're not this body, you're not this mind. This is what happens in the circle of life. The circle. It's a cycle which is happening again and again. You leave the body, you enter a different body. You leave that, you enter a different body until you reach a particular point. You do that. And that is your consciousness giving you this experience in this life through your dreams, telling you that see, you're not this body, you're not this mind, because in your dream you have a different mind, in your dream you're in a different body, yet you know that is you. So the fourth point is that we have two different hands, two different legs, two different ears in total separate directions. So all of these are separate from each other. Both hands are separate, legs are separate, ears are separate, everything is separate from each other, nose, eyes, everything is separate. But yet we feel like we are one. Everything in the body is separate from another one. But we still feel like we are one. We are one particular thing. That sense of oneness, that sense of me being that oneness is still there. That sense of non-separation is there. That is you. That sense of non-separation, that sense of I, that sense of consciousness, that sense of oneness, that is you. So understanding this is a very common thing, that your consciousness is your natural state, because it doesn't require you any effort. It doesn't change, and the best part is it's not an object of your perception. You cannot perceive your consciousness. I'll give an example. When someone asks us our age or even our name, it takes us at least 1 to 2 seconds to recall it immediately. 1 to 2 seconds to recall it at least. And that is something that is requiring us effort. So we are not the mind, because the mind is requiring effort to remember that. We are not the name, we are not the age, we are not this body, because it's requiring us effort to be that. Whereas consciousness is not requiring us any effort to be that. Any effort at all. It's not changing, it's not requiring any effort. So we are not that. So to come to the conclusion, it cut answer to the question, who am I, is that you are pure formless consciousness. You are, which the Advaita Vedanta calls Brahma, the Atman, you're that. And Brahma doesn't mean those statues or anything. It means that you are pure, formless, shapeless consciousness. Brahma, the term Brahma and Shiva actually means pure, formless consciousness. You know, Nirvana Shatkam, there's a line, Mano Buddhi Ahankara Chitta Ninaham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. Mano Buddhi Ahankara Chitta Ninaham. I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, I'm none of it. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. I am Shiva. Shiva, now here Shiva doesn't mean those statues or lingas, no. Shiva means pure formless consciousness. So the direct cut short answer to the question, who am I, is that you are nothing, yet you are everything. Your consciousness, your pure formless shapeless consciousness, your Shiva, Brahma, that is it, full stop, period. You are nothing other than that. So I hope this video was helpful for all of you. Bye bye, all the best, hope to meet you very soon. Also do watch the shorter versions of these videos in my Instagram account. The channel's link is in my channel's bio. The link to my Instagram account is in my channel's bio. Bye bye, all the best.